You know that feeling. You're holding it together in a meeting until you're not. Your voice catches, your chest tightens, you can feel those tears are coming. And all you can think is no, not now, not here. If you've ever felt like crying at work and you've been worried about how to handle it so that you don't make things worse, take a watch of this video. I'm going to break down for you what's actually happening in your body, how to take control when you're in that moment, and how to respond in a way that protects your reputation and your sanity. Because you don't need to suppress it. You just need to know how to ride it out with composure. So let's get into it. So let's just focus today on the extreme of emotion, okay? So the extreme usually is the presentation of crying, which is a stress response, effectively. It's a natural stress response to your fight, flight, or fright when your amygdala is set off as a fear. And it's basically a release of that stress response from the body. It's very natural, it's very normal, okay? Now, depending on what your attitude is towards crying at work, I'm going to hazard a guess you're watching this particular piece of training because you don't want to, or you feel like it's a bad idea, or you want to know how to handle it. So let's unpack a few of those things first. Number one, totally fine if you don't want to. If you're not comfortable doing so, if you're worried about it, that's really, really normal. So I'm not here to say like, don't worry about it, cry in every meeting, you'll be totally fine. I personally have never been a big fan of crying in front of people. I've done a lot of work to understand how it can be okay and how to handle it in the moment. So a couple of things you can do with that particular situation is in the moment. So your body's telling you first. Your body is giving you that sensation. You'll know what that is. For me, my eyes prickle. I go cold. I sort of get this wash of cold over me and I can feel it. I get tense all up through my neck. My eyes are kind of prickling and I'm like, yep, this is happening. We are crying. There's no real stopping it because the chemicals have dumped down to your body and this is going to happen. So breathing is your first best avenue, trying to slow your breathing down, okay? Slow, steady breaths, they help regulate that nervous system. It's not necessarily going to stop the tears from falling, but it is definitely going to help you get that under control. You want to acknowledge it. So let's say we're in a meeting setting. You might be able to say things like, hang on, I just need a second to get my head around this. You're not saying, hang on, I need a second to go bawl my eyes out. You're saying, I just need a second to get my head around this. And you're buying yourself time. What you're also doing is you're trying to encourage your amygdala to calm down. That's what you're doing through your breathing. And you're trying to get your prefrontal cortex back online. Because if you're saying out loud, I need a moment to get my head around this, you're trying to encourage prefrontal cortex come back so that we can think. And that also helps your nervous system calm back down again. Definitely pause if you need to. It's totally fine to take a short break or a reschedule. This is going to lengthen out this little piece of training for you, but I want to tell it as a quick story. When I was in a situation when I was in a board meeting for one of the companies that I was running, and it was a highly pressurized meeting, and I had a lot of questions flying at me and thoughts and opinions coming at me, and I was tired, there was no gas in the tank basically. And I felt it, what I just described. Totally, my body went cold, everything started to clench up, my eyes started prickling, and I thought, oh my God, it's coming. And I couldn't stop the flow of the meeting, I found difficult. And so my face must have got very red and tears just started falling. And I did exactly as this describes. I was trying to concentrate on my breathing. I said, hang on a second, I just need a minute to get my head around this. I stood up and I left the room. I went to the bathroom and I bawled my eyes out, like that ugly cry, sobbing on the floor, get it out of my body type of a crying. Now, the reason I did that, because a lot of people will go to the bathroom and they'll be like, keep it together, don't cry, just keep it together. The reason I opted not to do that is because I knew my body needed to go through the process of getting the stress out of it. When we have a chemical dump from our stress response, there's about a 45-second period of time that is active for you. And so if you can basically let your body have that experience for 45 seconds or more, you are letting it move through the motions and sort of flush out those chemicals in a way. So even though I knew I was going to go in all soppy afterwards, soggy, I let myself go through that. Then I took an extra couple of minutes breathing, giving myself perspective. Nothing in the world is fundamentally changing if I take an extra 3 minutes here. Wash my face, breathe, got it back together again, walked back into the room. Everyone was obviously incredibly concerned because they had not seen me ever in that state before. And they were, they were kind, and do you want us to stop? I said, no, I'm feeling okay now, but can I just maybe explain a little bit about what was making me feel very stressed just then? And I just said to them, I was like, I feel like I haven't had a minute to respond to a lot of these things. I'm getting a lot of questions in quick succession. I don't know that we're actually kind of slowing things down. So this is what I need to move forward. And everything was incredibly well respected. So hopefully that provides a bit of one way that you can approach these types of things. Longer term support. So if you find yourself getting very distressed frequently at work, chances are there's more going on underneath the surface than just you were in a meeting and it got very pressurized and you got upset. So just keep an eye on what is setting it off, like whether there are any patterns there. Are there particular people you're more sensitive to? Is it a particular environment with a size of group or a stress situation? Is it at the end of the day, you find yourself, if you're getting pulled into 5 o'clock meetings and you are spent, you've got nothing left in the tank, that you find those emotions overwhelming? If so, just build space in to decompress. Decompression just, doesn't have to be bawling on the floor of the bathroom, but decompression is incredibly valuable. Giving yourself some walking time between meetings, get out and get some fresh air for 5 minutes, bring that nervous system back down again, because that's really what we're dealing with here. Definitely talk to a trusted mentor or someone who can help listen to you, offer some perspective, make sure that you're getting out of that real versus imagined state, leaning into fact. Practice naming those emotions early. I'm feeling like this has got me feeling, I can feel it in my body, I'm feeling distressed. You can also develop a pre-stressful experience ritual. So it might be a pre-meeting ritual or a pre-presentation ritual that just helps ground you, calm you down, tell your amygdala, we're safe going into this, we're going to be fine. And I think finally, one thing that we don't do enough of that I'd really encourage you to do is take a second to reflect after it's happened. This does not mean sit in terror and despair of what everyone now thinks about you because you cried in front of them. That's not what I mean by reflecting. I mean, what just happened? How did it happen? What state was I in before it happened? What were some of the contributing factors? Because that's going to help you unpack much of what I just mentioned before around what is setting you off, under which circumstances, and what can you do about it. So to finish up, I want to emphatically reassure you, you can be both emotional and professional. You are a person. What we want to do is own your response in that moment with grace, and that can build self-trust and credibility.